In the last video, we built our scanner VC, setting up the capture session as you see here. Again, if you're a little bit lost, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But just know that what we set up is when we find a barcode, we're now telling our delegate, hey, we found a barcode, right? So that's the successful case. Deleting my spacing here. So now we're going to set up the structure for our errors so that we can also pass up the errors when things don't go right, because that's just as important, right? Especially when you're building a production app, strong error handling is a huge piece of it. So up top, we're going to create this here for now, just to keep things here. We'll kind of project organization later, but let's create an enum called camera error, and for now it'll have a raw value of a string, because we're going to kind of attach our error messages here for now. We're going to do more error stuff later that gets rid of this. So the first case is, we'll call it invalid device input equals, and this will be the string raw value. I'm only going to create 2 errors. In reality, you may need to create an error type for each one of the different checks because, proper error handling, you want to tell the user like exactly what went wrong. But just for the sake of time, and instead of having 7 different error types, I'm just going to keep it to 2 to keep them generalized. But I do want to let you know that, you can get you can and should get very specific with your error messages. So case invalid scanned value, right? I like to tab these over. Okay, so for now, we're going to put these strings here. Something is wrong with the camera. We are unable to capture the input, right? And then here we'll just say like the value scanned is not valid. This app scans EAN-8 and EAN-13. Again, those are the barcode types. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. I'm so anal. That bothered me. Okay, so those are our error types for right now. So what we need to do is also now have a delegate method here. Just like we did find that fires off when we successfully found a barcode, now we need a protocol method here to fire off when we got an error. So I'm going to call this func did surface and then call the parameter error, and that takes in a camera error that we just created right up here. So now at all these places, right, where we had just return, right? Because what happens when you don't surface an error here, if video capture device, this fails, then nothing happens. Like it just fails silently and the user is left like clueless. Like, why isn't my camera showing up? What's going on? They have no idea. So that's why you want to surface the errors, just to let them know when your app doesn't work properly, here's why. So we're going to add this one line of code throughout here. But again, it's just scanner delegate dot did surface error. And then the error we want to pass in is dot invalid device input, right? Again, these are just the 2 generic types. So our capture device is messed up. I'm actually going to copy this so I don't have to type it out a bunch, because here, the same thing. If the video input is wrong, we're going to invalid device input. If the capture session cannot add the input, right, instead of just returning, we're going to surface the invalid device input. And again, I know I'm a broken record, but in reality, these could probably be like different errors with different messages. But again, for the sake of time and simplicity, we're just going to do this. Okay, and then we are going to change it up to invalid scan value down in the bottom here. But that handles all of our hey, can we even capture the camera type checks that we were doing? Handles that with invalid device input. So now in our delegate here, right, where we actually scanned it successfully, but now we have to make sure it's the right type of data. Now we will do here scanner delegate dot did surface error, except we're going to pass in invalid scan value. And you can see the power of putting your errors in an enum if you're not familiar with that. Right? Instead of typing out the error message string or whatever, I can just pass in invalid scan value and I get the autocomplete and all that good stuff. So again, we'll copy and paste this 3 times here. 1, 2, and 3. So you notice we surfaced the error 7 or 8 times and we only did find once. And that's pretty typical when you're doing proper error handling, right? Because usually a lot of different things can go wrong, but there's only one right way to do things. So it's a little skewed there, but that's typically how it goes. Okay, so now we have our scanner VC basically done. Again, we have it set up so on a good case, we yell into the void, here's our barcode. When things go wrong, now we're yelling into the void, hey, things went wrong, here's the type of error it was. So again, what we need to set up now is someone to listen to our view controller that's yelling out all this information. And now that is going to be our coordinator, our UIViewController representable that has a coordinator that's that middle person in between our UIKit view controller and our Swift UI view. So let's go set up our coordinator to listen to this thing.